everybody, and welcome to the High Performance Garden Show. This is week 3. I got super exciting things to show you in the garden. We've had a pretty nice weather week, a couple frosty nights, so we're still covering the garden and protecting the warm weather plants. We got some more warm weather plants up this week, so when we get to the other end, I'll show you that. But let's start right here with the tomatoes. The tomatoes are looking really good. Their color is nice and dark green, so I know that their roots are starting to settle in. I know that I'm keeping them warm enough. So they're looking pretty happy. And this green forest in the middle, this is our spinach that we planted. And it is coming on really strong, except there's one little section right here where I don't see very many spinach. And my guess is that got hit too hard with the water and the seeds got pushed in this backwards direction because it's really thick here. Now, one of the things that I can do is I can transplant these spinach plants back up into that hole. I think I will give the garden one more week, and then we can transplant and move some stuff around. So that'll kind of balance out the bed. If the plants are packed in too tight together, you're going to get poor growth. The leaves will be small, and if we have a blank area, then that's wasted space. So we can come in here and kind of balance the garden out. So I'm thinking next week. If there are some seeds that are buried a little bit deeper, they're going to be a little slower to come up, and I want to just wait and make sure that everything that wants to come up is up. So this section here, it doesn't need anything really. I'm just making sure that it gets watered every day right now, just so that those little seeds that are on the surface can come up. As far as weeding, let me see. There's one. And I saw a second weed. Okay, there. We're weeded. That was awesome. I see spinach coming up around the edges, so that section's done. We're going to move on down. This is our section with the cabbage and the shigaiku. And if you look here, the shigaiku is just coming in super thick here. I got a few spots up in here that are thin, and I can also do the same thing with this, is I can transplant from here over into the other sections, and we'll do that next week. Cabbage is looking really, really good. The color is good. The leaves are getting big. So they've taken root, and they're going to grow really well here. So this section, let's see, weeds, see if I can find one. I'm looking, I see a stray carrot. Nope, guess I'm done weeding. Okay, that was easy enough. Let's go ahead and move on down. Now, over here, this is really exciting. What we got happening is, these are our cucumbers that we planted. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of cucumbers. They're looking really good. Now, cucumbers are a warm weather plant, and you want to be sure and keep them covered at night, because they will not take a frost. You'll come out and find mushy little cucumber plants. So if it's predicted to go down below, I would say even 35 degrees, I would get some covers on your plants. So, okay, cucumbers are doing well. And then in the front here, right up in here, these are the carrots coming up. Now that's really exciting. This is week 3. I tell you, carrots take 2 to 3 weeks to come up, and they are on their way. So that's great. I would love to get the garden mulched, but I know as these little bitty baby seeds are coming up, I need to kind of hold off and let them come on up, and then we can mulch in around the plants. So let's see, for weeds, I actually do see a few here. And we'll just get them now. If you can't tell the difference between a carrot and a weed, then don't weed yet. But I know the carrots look like grass, and these weeds that I'm pulling are round. So I can go ahead and get them on out. And they come with the soil, or they can come in the water. So we're never going to be 100% weed free, but man, if this is all weeding is, I'm all for it. It's super easy. Okay, there's our little handful of weeds. And that's all that we're going to get out of here. Oh, there's one more. Ooh, got it. Whew, oh, that's so hard. It's just stressing me to weed. Okay, we'll just leave those right there, and they can just kind of dry out. Okay, we're going to move on down to the next section. Down here, this is super exciting too. This is our zucchini plants. And as you can see, they've come up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got all 5 in this one, and I see all 5 in the other section too. So these again are warm weather plants. So if it's predicted to be 35 or below, 35 degrees or below, you want to go ahead and cover the plants so that you don't lose them. The spinach, it can take temperatures probably down around 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So spinach can go a little colder, but now that we have zucchini and spinach in here, we have to protect it for the warm weather plants. Spinach is coming up well. I have all kinds of spinach in here, and it's all the way around the zucchini and all the way around the outer edges. Now, if we have a blank spot here next week, we can move the plants around and get all the spots filled up. Let's see, let's weed this section. I see just a couple in here. Man, a new use for the easy trellis, something to lean over for the garden. I love these easy trellises because they're easy. Doesn't take any tools to build. I hope you guys have gone up on the website and got the plans for them, because I can just throw my blankets right over here. If I need shade cloth, I can go over here. If it's raining too much and I want to put a layer of plastic on, it can just go right over the top of it. And then these also extend up to where I can grow my plants vertically as well. So pretty awesome little design. No tools required. So go ahead and go get the plans. So one more little weed here. Okay, there we are. Weeding is done. Okay, so this back garden, it's mostly at this point just observing and seeing the plants coming up, keeping them wet and keeping them from freezing. So we're doing really well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our 3 unit. That's this one up here. And this is doing really well. This is our broccoli plants. These leaves are growing, they're getting big. They're looking really good. I'm very pleased with how they look. This is our turnips. We got turnips in the center and we got turnips around the edge. And they're looking really good as well. This is all cool weather plants, so I don't have to protect them as much as my warm weather plants, but I like to protect them anyways because they're going to grow faster if they stay warmer. So I've been putting the blankets on them at night as well. Okay, the next section here, this is our kale. The kale is doing really good on this end. That end is a little spotty. So what might end up happening is I'll transplant some from this end down to that end. I'll give those seeds another week or so, because they may have been planted a little deeper. I'm not going to weed through this section. I'm not going to disturb it. I'm just going to let the kale come up as it wants. And then beside that we have the bok choy. These are the little bok choys, and they're starting to get their first adult leaves, which is pretty neat. This is one of my favorite vegetables for breakfast. Wait till you try it for breakfast. It's awesome. So these are looking really good. There again, I don't want to disturb this. I would love to mulch some more, but I'm just going to wait, let these plants come up, and then we'll mulch in around them. So that'll work just fine. Okay, down on this end, we have our Swiss chard through here, which is coming up. Now, if you look at the Swiss chard, it's coming up in little clumps. And that's very normal, because remember those seeds were all knobby and they had multiple seeds. And so you're always going to get little clumps when you plant your Swiss chard in your beets. So there again, looking really good. I'm not going to disturb this section. We're just going to let it come on up. I'm going to continue to keep it moist. And then over here is our beets. And this is also our winter squash, the butternuts. And I do not see the butternuts yet. I'm not surprised. It's fine. I buried them fairly deep, and it's a little cool for them. So we'll give them a couple more weeks, and we'll probably see them up. The beets are up really good. I'm seeing lots of rows of beets. There again, see all the multiples in there. So what we're going to do is later we're going to thin that, and then we'll eat the little plants and let some grow into beets. So this section's doing really well. Everything's germinating great. And let's come on over to here. This is our lettuce and our turnips. And the turnips are up. They're looking good. Got lots of turnips here. These are great. Wait till you guys try these. You're going to be amazed at how awesome they are. This is our first planting of lettuce. It's looking really good as well. I'm keeping it moist. We are putting a cover over this, even though these are cold weather plants. There again, I like them to grow a little faster, so I'm going to keep them covered. And then our other lettuce up here that we put in by seed, just starting to see those popping up. There's just a few up in here, and they're just coming, so I'm not going to mulch this section. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And there again, if I have a whole bunch of lettuce in one spot and not enough in another spot, I can transplant these around, and we'll demonstrate that for you next week. So all in all, the garden is looking fantastic. We are getting all the little plants coming up, and pretty soon we'll be munching down on some goodies. So one of the things that I want to talk with you guys today about is my gardening challenge. I've had a few people ask me, why $2,990 worth of food out of this garden? So I have a couple of reasons. So my first reason is I've never grown that much out of this garden before. We've topped out around $2,600, and so I want to see if I can push it to that next level. So that's my personal growing challenge. What I love about gardening is there's always another layer, another level. You can always push yourself. There's always something new to learn. It's never boring. It's just fantastic. So that's my personal challenge, is to see, can I take this garden to a new level? And the second reason that I chose that number is the Abundance Garden course, which is our most comprehensive course, which is going to get you online to be able to grow like this in one season, is $299 for the enrollment. So what I want to show you is every year you can grow 10 times the amount of the enrollment for 1 year in your garden every year. So that's pretty awesome. You know, you have the investment and you can grow your investment by 10 times. I don't even think you can do that in the stock market. So this garden's better than the stock market. So there. Anyways, I'd like to talk with you a little bit about organic gardening and chemical gardening. So let me grab my books and we'll get started on that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why grow an organic garden versus a chemical garden. So one of the things is a plant can grow in either method. I mean, we've seen it in the Midwest. You know, they use all the chemicals and stuff. They have beautiful crops. We've seen beautiful organic gardens. So it's not a matter of can I grow a plant, it's a matter of what's happening besides just growing a plant, and how is it affecting our life and the life on our planet. So I'd like to kind of just go over a couple things that I've learned. So to start with, there's two different lines of education. You have your chemical education. Here's what you apply when, and here's how you grow the plants in this chemical soup. And then you have your organic method. Here's how you grow your plants using Mother Nature. Here's how you control insects and diseases with, you know, more natural ways. So you could take either path. It's a little hard if you're switching back and forth, but there is education on both paths that you can be successful in. So don't feel like that just because all the chemical companies are telling you you can't grow organically, you can. It's just a matter of which education that you're grabbing hold of. So our education here will be on the organic side. So one of the things that I look at is, if I'm not sure about something, how does nature grow their plants? So nature's been growing plants for millions of years, and we've been growing plants with chemicals for about 150 years. So I think I'm going to go with nature and her style as opposed to with the chemicals, because it's been more tried and true. Our planet's been thriving for a very long time. So another question that I get is, can we feed everybody by growing food organically? And they have done studies on that, and the answer is absolutely yes. We can grow enough food on our planet organically to feed everybody on the planet. It's there again, it goes back to that piece of education. So don't think that we have to have chemicals for any reason at all. We can grow and feed everybody organically. So I'd like to share with you my 5 reasons that I grow organically. So the first one is soil biology. So in this soil are billions of lives. We have microbes that are in the soil, and the plant builds a relationship with these microbes. So I'd like to tell you kind of how the system falls into place. The soil food web is made up of an incredible diversity of organisms. They range in size from the tiniest one-celled bacteria, algae, fungi, and protozoa to the more complex nematodes and microarthropods to the visible earthworms, insects, small vertebrates, and plants. As these organisms eat, grow, and move through the soil, they make it possible to have clean air, water, healthy plants, and they moderate water flow. So let's take a close look at what happens in the soil food web. So the plants take in sunlight and secrete carbohydrates and proteins, some of which are then excreted through the roots and into the rhizosphere. So that's the area right around the roots. Bacteria and fungi are attracted to the roots to consume the excrements and sloughed off cells from the roots. The bacteria and fungi are eaten by the protozoa and the nematodes, and the nutrients that the protozoa and nematodes don't need are released as nutrients for the plants in the rhizosphere. Protozoa and nematodes are eaten by arthropods, and arthropods are the insects that have segmented bodies, such as spiders, moths, flies, grasshoppers, butterflies, bees, ants, beetles, and more. So the arthropods are eaten by snakes, toads, birds, and other animals. Earthworms that live in the soil eat bacteria, fungi, protozoas, and nematodes. So if you have a healthy worm population, then you have a healthy soil food web. So all dead plants, animals, and bugs are eaten by the bacteria and the fungi and add nutrients to the soil. Animal dung is consumed by the bacteria and the fungi and also adds nutrients back to the soil. So all of the eating and decomposing has byproducts of nutrients that feed the plants, and the soil food web is a delicate structure. If one player is removed from the game, then the food web can be disrupted and not work. So the soil food web is critical to what's going on in our garden. Now, if you want some heavy-duty reading, try this book, Teeming with Microbes. This is by Jeff Lowenfeld and Wayne Lewis. And this describes everything in nitty-gritty detail, and it has microscope pictures so you can actually see the fungi and the protozoas, and it's an incredible book. A little bit of a heavy read. You'll just have to go through it slowly. But anyhow, if you want more details, here it is. Oh my gosh, it's a great book. Okay, so now that we know that we have this living soil food web down here, what are its purposes? So one of the things that the soil food web does is it'll take the nutrients from decomposing plant materials, compost, even some of the rocks and stuff. It breaks all that down so that the plants, it makes it plant available, so the plants can absorb the nutrients. So the microbes are critical to the plants being able to absorb all the nutrients that they need. When the plants can absorb all the nutrients that they need, then the nutrients are available to us. So here's the game. We have the soil microbes, we have the plants. Microbes feed the plants feed us. And if you disrupt any of this chain, we are not getting the nutrients we need. And that's one of the things that's wrong with farming in America today, is this chain has been disrupted. So here's what happens. We have the soil microbes. We introduce chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. Anything beside means death. It's introduced right here between the microbes and the plants. The microbes, they are killed by the pesticides, fungicides, and stuff. Like the chemical fertilizers, they're mainly based off of salts, and the salt is too much for the microbes, and the microbes actually will die from the salts that are in the fertilizers. So at this point, the chemicals have taken over feeding the plants. Most chemical fertilizers have 3 nutrients, nitrogen, potassium, phosphate. What happens is those are the 3 big ones that the plant needs, but the plant has 17 essential nutrients that it needs. And funny thing is, it's the same 17 essential nutrients that we need for life. I mean, there's other nutrients that come into play as each plant has a different taste, but these 17 are the critical pieces. So we have the soil microbes, we have the chemical introduction in the center, which only feeds the plant. 3 of the main nutrients, the plant then struggles, can be attacked by insects, doesn't grow to its full genetic potential, and doesn't have the nutrients that we need for us. So we want to take that chemical piece out of our chain. We want to go microbes break down the organic matter, go to the plants can get all the nutrients they need, that then feeds us. So that's one of my reasons for wanting to grow totally organically and not use any chemicals. So the other thing that I found out in reading this book, this is one of my Acres USA books. If you ever want a great magazine, Acres USA. I was bopping through this and came across this article on soils. And it started talking about sequestering carbon and global climate. You know, that's a problem, global climate change. And I would like to read to you just a couple paragraphs out of here so you kind of get an idea of what I was learning. So the key to understanding here involves recognition that you can't make more carbon. The number of carbon molecules present on our planet has remained constant since the dawn of time. This carbon is either stored in the soil as humus, the carbon-based life forms, which are our microbes, or in the atmosphere as CO2, and it cycles between these three. The problem is that a great deal of carbon that used to be in the soil as humus, over 2/3 of it, is now in the atmosphere, thickening the blanket and trapping more heat. So what they're saying is the carbon that used to be in the soil is now in the air, and we need to take it from the air and put it back into the soil. So the very simple and obvious solution is to return some of that excessive atmospheric carbon back to the soil as stable humus. When we build organic matter, humus, in the soil, we effectively sequester the carbon from the atmosphere. So this Professor Ratan Lal, he suggests that an increase in organic matter in the top 6 inches of the soil can effectively counter 30% of the man-made carbon emissions. So yeah, we're talking the 6 inches of soil. We just need to sequester the carbon right back into that. So if we look at a global increase of 1.6%, organic matter is sufficient to reduce the CO2 levels in the atmosphere from 400 parts per million to below 300 parts per million, which effectively reverses global warming. I read this and I'm like, whoa, organic farming is one of the solutions to solving global warming. So what we need to do is we need to be sequestering the carbon back into the soil, and that is done by the microbes and making compost and working in nature's system. So one of my other reasons for wanting to stay organic is I want to help with the global warming situation. I want to keep my microbes alive, and I want to sequester some of that carbon that's in the air and get it back into the soil. And by being organic and growing with compost and my soil microbes, I'm doing my part. So that's awesome. So the last reason that I want to grow an organic garden is my dad left me and my brother and sister with one prime directive, and that is to leave this planet in a better place than I found it. And to me, that is organic gardening. So there's several reasons for that. The organic garden, an organic yard, is a place that is chemical free for my children, my pets, and for wildlife. I just want a place that is safe for all of them. We're helping to solve climate change, and I think that's really important. So in my yard, in my couple square feet that I control, it's going to be organic so I can help sequester some of that carbon. Higher nutrient density in my food, that is super important to me and my family. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine raising my kids on food that is low in nutrients. So there again, my organic gardening, let's keep this pattern going without the chemicals interfering between the nutrients that the microbes are making, that the plant makes, that goes to me. Another reason that I want to be organic is I just want to let nature do its thing. You know, that nature is beautiful in itself, and I don't want to stand in its way by adding chemicals. We now have the education that we don't need to add any chemicals at all to grow our food, and we're just going to let the garden do its thing. And the last thing is I want to share my ideas with others so you guys can have this too, so you can have a clean environment, high nutrient dense foods, a beautiful place to live, and not have to deal with the chemicals. So the big question becomes, why aren't people teaching this stuff? And the answer is money. There's no money to be made in this. People are wanting to sell boxes of blue stuff on the shelf, and they want your money so that you go and buy the chemical fertilizers. Your plants get addicted to it, and your plants start to look bad, so you go buy more blue stuff in a box, and you have this cycle because you've killed off the microbes. There's no way to break that cycle for your plants until you go back to nature. So one of the things that I found out is nature doesn't come in a box on the shelf and you can't purchase it. You just work with it. So where there's no money to be made, the commercials are all going to be towards what they can sell you. So now that you know a little bit about growing your garden, you can make the choice. Do you want a chemical garden or do you want the organic garden? And the choice is yours. So if you're choosing the organic garden, stick with us. We'll get you educated. Okay, now we want to cover the question of the week. So you guys have the opportunity to email me garden questions, and we will try to answer those the very best that we can for you. So go ahead and, jump on the website and send us some emails. So the question of the week this week is, how do I keep the cabbage from getting eaten up by the worms? So the worm that they're talking about is a cabbage looper. It's a little green worm. It crawls around on the top of the plants. The cycle is, there's a little white butterfly about an inch across. And what you want to do is start looking for this little white butterfly. You see it flitting around. It likes everything in the brassica family. So that's cabbage, broccoli, kale. It'll even eat your bok choy, Brussels sprouts, everything in that family. And once you start seeing the little white butterflies, what they're doing is they're laying eggs. And these eggs will take anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to hatch out. They hatch out into the little green worms. The little green worms will grow and they will continue to eat the leaves of your plants. They then will make a cocoon on the plant, which then hatches out into the little white butterfly. The cycle can take 6 to 8 weeks. In the south, you guys might already be seeing these little white butterflies. So that's your clue. It's time to start doing something. Well, once you see the butterflies, 3 weeks, then you start your action. So what we do organically is we use a product called BT. I can't pronunciate the full name, but we'll put the name on the screen. But if you look for BT in your organic catalogs, it'll surely be there. It's bacteria that when the butterfly eats it, or not the butterfly, sorry, when the little green worm eats it and ingests it, it gives them a stomach ache and they quit eating and they die. So what you want to do is you want to spray your plants once a week with the BT. If the population is just overwhelming, do it twice a week. And that's all you need to do. It's totally organic. You just need to spray that. You will actually see me doing that in this garden because we have wild brassicas out in our fields, and we know that the butterfly population will come in and get on our plants. So we do that once a week. We can grow all the cabbage, broccoli, kale, everything we want. So there's the answer to the question of the week, is get some BT, watch for the butterflies. You people in the south, you probably already have some, so you might as well get started. Okay, I would like to share with you all the gifts that my garden has given me. And believe me, there are lots of them. So let's just start with the first one. So the first gift that my garden gave me was challenge. I started my gardening career in a traditional row garden and soon found out the challenges associated with this archaic form of gardening. Backaches, blisters, heartaches, weeds, bugs, and very little in return. But this first garden, my challenge garden, gave rise to me asking the question, is there a better way? Can I garden in a way that is easier, more rewarding, and take less time? The snow soon came and covered up my challenge garden. Then the spring came and I started a new garden with new ideas. Okay, so let's talk about what you can plant today. So all season I'm going to let you know what you can plant in your area because I want you to know that you can garden most of the year even if it's just a pot of lettuce on the patio. You don't have to start just in the spring. And for some of you, you can grow outdoors all year long. For the more northern growers, you'll have a longer season than you realize. To see the chart of what you can plant in your area, click on the menu button on the High Performance Garden website where you are viewing this video. Find this week's date and click on the link. Then find your zone and see what you can start. If you don't know your zone, then click on the introduction and read the article about zones. So if you want to learn more, if you're ready right now to have the best, most productive garden you've ever grown in, then the Abundance Garden course is your ticket to get in this kind of garden. If you only have a patio or a very small area, less than 3 king-size beds, then the Leafy Greens course is the place for you to start. And if you want to learn more about the concepts of the High Performance Garden, then start with the High Performance Garden ebook. So hey, I'd like to ask you a favor. Could you please remember to share the show with your friends and family? They might be rather mad at you if you keep this a secret from them. So let's help each other have an awesome garden season this year by sharing out this information. So join us next week where we will continue to watch this amazing garden take shape. And until next time, may your garden be easy, fun, productive, and always organic.